Hello YouTube, it's William. Welcome to another Whittle Talk. I think the last video I did about sheaths carry and what I like and all of that, I think I'm going to do a series and a playlist to give you my thoughts on knife designs and things to do with knives, and say all knives, and just kind of give you my thoughts on it, because I get a lot of questions about what do I prefer, and I hate to say what I prefer all the time, because what works for me may not work for you. Okay, but then I thought, and I said, well, at least maybe some people will try it, and maybe it'll work for somebody else as well. If it don't, that's fine, you tried it. Anyway, so for whatever it's worth, we're going to do a playlist, and we're going to include the sheath, my thoughts on the sheaths, and this one is going to be about steel. Okay, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, and what works for me, and as a knife maker, what I find in steels, and just my opinion. Okay, if you disagree with it, that's fine. I don't need any nasty comments. If you like a different steel, that's great. Alright? Okay, so here it goes. Me personally, and I have used Crucible Skills, I've used practically every steel that you can think of, L-Max, the whole 9 yards, that run the whole gamut. I've used them all. I've worked with quite a few, not all of them, but I've worked with quite a few. But it has nothing to do with me as a craftsman, what works well in the shop. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about out in the field using it and working the knife. Okay. Out of all the steels I use, I always go back to 01. It's just a simple, good steel that works. The CPM steels of 3Vs and I mean, it's basically 01 on steroids, and I've used it, and to be honest, in my findings, the only thing that you're going to be able to, I couldn't tell a difference between it and 01 as far as chip resistance and all this other stuff, and edge retention, and edge retention is kind of a pie in the sky, if you will. Just think about it and follow me along here a minute. If a knife holds the edge a very long time, that means it's going to take some work to keep it sharp. So a lot of times edge retention is not a good thing. For me, it's not. I would rather have a knife that holds an edge a reasonably amount of time. If I can get through the day with a lot of work, butchering 3 or 4 animals, 2 or 3 deer, I mean, not trying to cut through bones or anything, but you know, using it wisely. If I can get through scanning out a couple of deers and with a knife and without having to sharpen it, that's fine with me. I'm okay with that. That means that it's not going to take me with a diamond stone 2 hours to get an edge back. I can usually hit it on a sharpening steel a few times, and it's right back sharp as ever. I like that about 01. 01 holds a great edge. I can hit it a few times on a sharpening steel, and that edge is right back. A lot of people talk about the maintenance of carbon steels. Yeah, there is a little bit of maintenance to them, but not much. I mean, I live in a fairly wet environment. I don't live in a tropical rainforest, but I live right on a lake, on a river, and it gets wet quite a bit. Sheaths get wet. But I mean, if you get a little bit of surface rust on it, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. Just take and I've got a video on how to do that. take some a very fine piece of sandpaper and a little bit of WD-40 or steel wool. Steel wool works great as well. And just work the surface rust off. Put another coat of oil on it, cooking oil if you're going to use it for food prep, and let the sheath dry before you store it again. Our forefathers didn't have a problem with surface rust. That's because they used them all the time. You know, and if they did get a little rust on them, they just found a little sand in the creek and scratched the surface rust off of it and went on. I mean, it wasn't that big a deal. But I mean, if you live in a salt environment with today's steels, then maybe you want to look at a stainless steel. Some of the Crucible stainlesses are fairly decent steels. Now I use CPM 154s in the kitchen because of that, and it's a great steel. S35VN is another great steel, the Crucible's side of the CPMs. So if you live in a high salt environment, or you live in a very extremely wet environment, then you may want to look at some of those type of steels. I would recommend a CPM 154, a CPM S35VN, something like that. But you got to understand that step between 01 and those Crucible steels, you're going to pay for it. The steels, I mean, they're made by one company, and they're a little pricey. Also, they're very hard, they're very dense, and you'll go through 2 to 3 times the amount of grinding belts with those steels than you would, say, 01. So plan on paying $100 plus for that additional upgrade. But I mean, again, it's whatever you prefer. I'm just telling you what I prefer. Me personally, if I was going to use, the only place that I've really found that the stainless steel is beneficial for me is in the kitchen. As far as the woods, I would much rather have 01. I keep going back to 01. I don't think in the woods, in a bushcraft or a woodscraft environment, that the Crucible steels pay for themselves. I don't see it. The only time that you could probably see a difference, in my opinion, in what I've used from my 01 anyway, my heat treat process, is probably in a laboratory. Then you'll probably be able to tell the difference. But just going out there on a weekend camping and using a knife, or going hunting on a hunting trip for a week, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. Not $100 worth of difference. So that's my opinion. I'll make you whatever you want. But that's my 2 cents on steels. And like I say, the harder it is, or the longer it holds an edge, the harder it is going to be to sharpen. My recommendation is to get you a simple 01 carbon steel blade, or if you're going to use it in a highly wet environment or a salt environment, CPM 154 or CPM S35VN is great steels. Just got to keep them sharp. Can't let them get dull, or you're going to spend some time on a sharpening stone. Okay? So, until the next one, you guys get out in the woods, get in the backyard, whittle on a stick, and if you do, be sure and take plenty of band-aids and lots of knives. We'll catch you again pretty quick on another video as soon as I can. Till then, have a good one.